What's going on, guys? I'm going to be doing a breakdown of Oliver the Gorilla's body language, just a full breakdown of this the video of Oliver the Gorilla, his mannerisms, you know, what might be going through his head. Obviously, this is from the famous video, Oliver Eats an Apple, and, you know, he's shrouded a lot of mystery, and people just can't, you know, wrap their heads around how much of an alpha male / sigma male he is. So I'm going to be breaking down some of the secrets behind him and what we can learn from him. So let's just hop right into it. Okay, pause it right there. Pause it right there. Just look how alpha this is right here. He just doesn't give a fuck. He's chewing with his mouth open. See, look. Let's examine this right here. Just look at this. Look at this. See right here, he's just chewing up this plant matter. You know, in this case, it's an apple. Let's just draw a little apple here for visualization. He just takes a bite out of it, and he's just eating this shit, and he doesn't give a fuck. Who cares? He in his mind, who cares if he's chewing out loud with his mouth open? Because he doesn't have to answer to anyone. Who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? When you're this much of a shot caller and a badass like Oliver is, you can just do whatever the fuck you want, like he is in this case, basically. Okay, let's play. Let's analyze it again. See, as you can see, like I was saying, and then he looks. Let's just play that back. You see that nose twitch right here? Let's watch that again. That was awesome. That was awesome. In case you missed it, he just twitches his nose here. He doesn't even give a fuck. He doesn't even give a fuck. Why would he care? Why would he care if anyone sees him? And also, he's probably just sniffing out potential mates. You know, I don't even know. You know, let's move on. Let's move on. And then he's just scanning his territory, basically. Just, you know, completely nonchalant. As you can see, he has a relaxed body language, and he could be scanning, you know, potential predators. But you know, there could be like some potential predators, maybe like a mantis here, like a giant mantis like this over in the you know, horizon. But you know, it's not really that much of a threat to him, basically, because of how, you know, powerful and how confident he is in his you know, his skills and experience. You know what I mean? So okay, let's play this again. Yeah. Okay, and then he just takes another bite out of the apple. Oh my god, look at that crunch. Look at that crunch. Let's play that back again. Let's play that back again. So he just, you know, scanning the territory. There could be potential predators, and he just takes a bite out of that. Wow. Wow. And he's just chewing again, like I said, with his mouth agape, opened up. Doesn't even give a fuck. Doesn't care. Why would he care? Another bite out of that. And, you know, he is just making eye contact with the fellow gorillas in the enclosure, I assume. You could probably analyze this, and you could see in the reflection of that eye right there that there may or may not be other, you know, gorillas or other, you know, primates, and he's just staring them down. And he can do that, because what are they going to do to him? What are they going to do to him? Absolutely nothing. That's what. That's what. Okay, let's continue. Let's continue. As you can see, you can just see that gaze. Yep. And he's just looking, you know, surveying. Basically, this whole enclosure right here is just all his. You know, that's all his territory. You know, and he hears that goat right there. That beta male goat. He hears it, and he just scoffs at it. He just scoffs at it. He doesn't even care. He doesn't even care. Because what are they going to do to him? And you can see that reflected in his body language, his upright posture, as you can see right here with his erected shoulders here. And he just, you know, he doesn't even care. He's just, you know, relaxed, basically. Nice, nice. And he just looks right into the camera. Right into the camera. Looks into the camera with these nice eyes right here. You know, as you can see, positive cancel tilt right here. Completely, you know, predator eyes. You know, great cheekbone exposure here. And he is just a specimen. You can see the strong jaw here, too. and these masseter muscles are just huge and developed because of how much apples he eats, because he gets all the apples, basically. When you call the shots like Oliver does, you get as many apples as you want, basically. Absolutely insane. See, oh wait, hold on. A lot of people might have missed that. A lot of people might have missed that. Hold on a second. See that? Hold on, let's just back this up a little bit. See that right there? That's a seed, an apple seed, right there. And he just, let's play this. He just eats that apple seed without a care in the world. Because what is it going to do to him? A lot of people might be scared that that might do anything, like poison them or whatever. But he just completely eats that apple seed. Because what is it going to do to him? His body and immune system are so strong and adapted to stuff like this that it's really not going to matter at all in the long term. And he just, you know, he doesn't care whatsoever. And there's also another interesting thing to point out. He has bit down the midline, the medial point of this apple, meaning that he eats the core and most likely the stem of this apple as well. Because why wouldn't he? He doesn't give a fuck. His jaw is so strong and sharp and defined. He can just do stuff like that without even a second thought, which most people wouldn't even consider doing. Oh my god. Yeah, and as you can see, just other stuff that... Oh, whoa. Whoa, let's play that back a little bit. Hold on. See that scratch right there? See this? Pay attention to this finger right here. Pay attention to this finger right here. And he just scratches his snout right here. Look at that right there. Most people wouldn't attempt this, but, you know, he's able to pull it off. He's able to pull it off. That's all I have to say. I mean, it's pretty... It speaks for itself, really. Just confidently chewing, and he just popped. Oh my god, he just pops that entire rest of that apple in his mouth, and he's going for another slice. He's just going for another slice, and he just devours that part without even a care in the world, basically. Oh my god. Oh my god. And, you know, more of the same body language I just described, and we can just see it play out here. And look at that. Look at that nice side eye. Look at that right there. He is just completely, you know, kind of honestly just disappointed and just really not impressed by any potential competition. He might be like that goat, you know, he might be seen, you know, that could be a potential competition that he is just looking at, you know, off to the side here. You know, maybe, yeah, let's just visualize that nice goat right there that we heard earlier that we were talking about, and he is just visualizing that over there. And he doesn't see that as a threat. He's, you know, as brutal as it may sound, he's just scoffing at the idea. Yeah, and he's just, you know, asserting his dominance, basically. And this is my favorite part of the video, and this is where we can learn the most. He is just, his mouth is just agape like this because he just doesn't give a fuck. You know, he doesn't care what potential insects may fly into his mouth here. This is a potential insect that could fly into it, but he doesn't care because he can just easily, you know, munch it up, you know, deflect maybe with maybe some of this beard hair over here, maybe some of this chin hair here over here too. He just doesn't, so it's not really a worrying thing, and he's maybe even inviting someone to either fly into his mouth or be, you know, take a shot at him, you know, and he just has his mouth open because he knows he can just take a punch. Even with his mouth open like that and his jaw not clenched, he can easily just take a punch, and it's not a big deal to him. See that? Just absolute display of dominance right here. And yeah, he is just basically back to his regular routine here. So I hope you guys learned a lot from this. I'm certain that a lot of people have learned a lot of good things from this because, you know, there's a lot to be said about Oliver the gorilla. It just, you know, you can just take some of these things I taught you today and apply them in your own life, basically. And, you know, there's lots to be learned from this. You know, this is how a shot caller, this is how an alpha male, someone with strong body language carries themselves, basically.